Do you sometimes feel stuck in a rut, needing a new perspective? Matt hopes to provide you with a possible solution using the classic question, is the glass half empty or half full? Please help me welcome Matt.
Is the glass half empty or half full? I think I can predict your answer, but by a show of hands, who's heard of that classic question before? All right, we all have. It's important to know that we're all on the same page. We even go a step further in our culture to say that if we call it half empty, that means something about your personality. So if someone refers to you as a glass half empty type of a person, what does that mean supposedly about your personality and perspective?
Don't want nothing.
Don't want nothing to do with it. Anybody can give me some thoughts on what that means in our culture. What does that mean if you're glass half empty?
You tend to view things negatively.
Tend to view things negatively. Well, how about now, and I started with that side for a reason, glass half full. Amanda, a glass half full, what does that tend to say about your personality or perspective in life?
With a glass that's half full, I tend to say that you're halfway there, meaning you're not super exuberant, but you're
Okay.
not a Debbie Downer.
Okay.
You're normal.
Normal, maybe. Okay. I've also heard that you also think of the good things in life, maybe. That you're not focused on what's not there, but what is there. Interesting. Well, I'm here to say that neither view is accurate. And that question we can throw away. After today, that question is no longer relevant. This glass is 100% full. 100% full. The bottom half is full of the obvious, it's water. The top half is full of air. It is 100% full of both water and air. There's the obvious part, and there's the not so obvious part. But it's 100% full. As creative business people, we need to specialize in the not so obvious part. As creative business people, when most people think of only the obvious, we need to train ourselves to think about the not so obvious part. Do you see yourselves as a glass is 100% full kind of person? Think about that for a moment. Do you really? And how can you become one? Right now, I'm just thirsty. In front of you, you have a half sheet of white paper with a line in the front of it labeled number 1. You have a half sheet of paper with a number 1. On the left side, there's a line there. Does anyone not have one? I have a few extras. Great, you've got one? Okay. On that white area labeled with the number 1, how many boxes do you see? How many boxes do you see?
16.
You see 1. And that's on side 2. Right now we're looking at side 1. Side number 1. How many boxes do you see? Somebody sees 1. Any others?
I see a lot.
You see 3? You see a lot maybe. Interesting. Flip it over to side 2. Flip it over to side 2. How many boxes do you see now? On side 2, how many boxes do you see? You see 16. 16.
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Okay, count them quickly. If you see a lot, count them quickly. Go for it. How many boxes do you see?
16.
You see 16. I've heard that a couple times. Any other?
Like at least 30.
Oh, somebody sees 30? Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. Let me explain what this really is. On side 1, I do admit they're hard to see. White squares on a white background is very hard to see. Very hard to see indeed. I was wondering if somebody might say I see 1,000 of them because they're all in my imagination, because I choose to see things that most people don't. Potentially. On side 2, the corners of the boxes are black. The lines are white. And so you may see 9 small boxes, 4 medium boxes. You can Draw the medium boxes there, and one large box. And you may even notice that the corners themselves are black boxes, with a total of, as I count them, 30. Or maybe your mind comes up with boxes all the way around them of white that other people don't even see. But isn't it interesting how, when we look at something as simple as that, we make rules in our own mind about what the boxes need to look like? Are we focused on the obvious or the not so obvious? I'll end with an interesting story of my own life. All of us joined Toastmasters in a quick phrase because of, why? Why did we join Toastmasters? In a quick phrase.
Personal development.
Personal development. I joined to improve my speaking. I knew there were things I could work on to become a more fluent speaker. After I was in Toastmasters about a year in another club, a friend of mine gently pushed me and said, "You need to compete." I said, "Compete? What is that about?" And he told me what it was all about. There's competitions in Toastmasters where you develop a speech, and there's different themes to it, and every spring there's actually an international speech competition. Probably you're aware of that goes to the international level. Well, I said, sure, I'm going to try this. So I tried it once. And the first time that I tried it, I was so sick from nerves I never even went. But then finally, the next time I went, and I practiced at home, and I practiced at home, thinking I need to improve. How do I improve? How do I improve? Well, my son, 8 at the time, was watching me. And he would come to contests with me. We'd play Legos on the floor, and then Dad would get up and give a speech. And I'm happy to say that 2 years into that process, I almost made it to the international level a year and a half ago. And that was a great accomplishment for me. I passed through 5 rounds, and I was heading on my way to Indonesia, didn't quite make it. But something that I noticed, the not so obvious, my son is now 10, and I go with him to his presentations, and I hear his teacher talk to him and say, "You should see this Antonio get up in front of the class. He knows where to stand, he knows how to use his arms." The not so obvious, he's a better speaker now from watching. Include someone in your journey. The not so obvious.